I ask him, help me not mess this up. That's what I say every time. Like, sometimes, I don't even ask him to fix it. You know what I mean? It's like I could ask him to glue the pieces together. No, just help me hold on. That's what I ask him. Just help me hold on long enough where I know that these guys are gonna be okay.
Most people know James Raiz as the box office artist behind Marvel Studios' biggest hits. The energetic host of Time to Draw Live with over 1 million YouTube subscribers. But behind the viral videos and sold-out shows, James faced a change that would redefine everything he thought he knew about strength. Sometimes we choose change, and sometimes change chooses us. When James was riding the highest wave of his career, life delivered news that would test every prayer, every belief, every promise he'd made to hold his family together. I'm Aliu Garcia Pablo, and you're listening to Making Changes from incmedia Audio, a podcast about the changes we go through and the life lessons we learn along the way, but always with God by our side. Well, hello, James.
Hi.
How's your voice?
It's getting there. Recovering.
I know. You had a really fun and crazy weekend.
Absolutely did. We came to San Jose and did the Time to Draw live show over there for the kids. And whenever I do a Time to Draw live, I just give everything.
You do. You give like 200%.
Yes, I give us, the kids, especially the districts, they work so hard to put in the event. I try to give as much as I can when I'm there. But the downside is my voice is usually gone for the week. We're filming,
the week?
Yeah, for the week. Now, we filmed this a couple of days later. I thought I was okay on the day of. And then I know it got worse on the Sunday. And then yesterday, my voice was like gone. I could not talk.
I know. You were texting me. I was like, no, please don't speak the rest of the day. Because we need your voice for the Making Changes podcast. But look, I know we've known each other for a long time. You're a really good friend of mine. And, really, I'm so honored to have you here at the table, Making Changes table. But I know you're a busy guy. You came from a gig before coming here, right?
Yes.
For YouTube.
Yes.
You collabed with a YouTuber.
Yes.
So even your trip here, it's like, it's jam-packed with different projects. So thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. This is exciting. I love the new set. This is great.
Know.
This is fantastic.
Isn't
Yes.
Nice?
It's cute.
Well, the thing is, even though we've known each other for a long time, I don't think we've ever sat down to chat like how we're going to chat today.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So there's so many ththings I want to ask you, and I just want to know about you. And I think our listeners and viewers are going to come along for the ride and are going to benefit just as much. So our show, Making Changes podcast, we talk about chosen versus unchosen change. And although it's easy to go into the change in your life, I do want to really find out from you, though. Look, you come from an immigrant family, and yet you're an artist, right?
Yep.
What did your parents say when you were a kid and you're like, hey, Mom and Dad, when I grow up, I want to be an artist?
Well, when I was a kid, I didn't imagine myself to be an artist for a living, because it was like ingrained to me, okay, you're going into medicine or you're going into law or something like that. So it was literally just a hobby of mine, right? So
what was their dream for you?
Oh, of course, a doctor. I think most immigrant parents want their kids to be doctors. Well, it's more because they know that it makes money. I think that the bottom
Stability.
line, yes, exactly. They just want their kids, and my parents did. They just want to make sure we can eat when we're older. And art is something that they just didn't understand. How can you make money off of that sort of thing? So when I was younger, I drew a lot. But for me personally, that wasn't the career, because it's not supposed to be a career then. It was just something I liked to do, and I was okay at it.
How old were you when you started drawing?
Usually when people ask me, I'll say 3, but just to give it a number. But for as long as I can remember, I've always been drawing. So I would draw on everything, paper. I think the only drawing I still have back then, and I had it, I think I lost it, on the back of my mom's cookbook. There was a page in the back that I drew some superheroes on there, and that's the only remaining child drawing that I have.
So any blank canvas, blank piece of paper,
yes,
you would draw?
I would draw on the walls. I would do the classic.
So are you born and raised in Canada?
Yes. I was born in Canada. My parents came from the Philippines in around 1972, I think around there. And I was born in 78, around there.
And
But yes.
what did your mom and dad do for a living?
So my dad was more like a pharmacist type thing. I think he is. No, he's a chemist. I forgot what my dad did. All I know is he's gonna kill me for this. But I know he worked night shift. That's what I know. He worked night shift.
But he was in the health industry.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was on the health side. My mom, when she came here, she did some factory work. She eventually became a hairstylist. So she went to school to cut hair, and then she was a hairstylist for most of her life, right?
So your parents are like, James, you're going to be Dr. James Raiz.
Yes.
That's their dream for you.
Yes.
And then at what stage in your life did you go from, hey, let me just scribble here and there, being a hobbyist, to, I think I want to do this when I grow up, Mom and Dad?
It actually didn't happen till a lot later in life. Like, because even I really started to seriously draw. I think around high school. That's when I actually started noticing comic books and getting to know like all these great comic book artists out there and trying to mimic them. That's when I started doing it, but still a hobby for me. It was still, just something I did on the weekends. I made my own comic book in high school. But again, hobby. It literally wasn't until my last year of high school. I looked at my schedule and I had all these subjects, very tough ones. And I don't know if it was because of laziness or not, but I looked at it, I'm like, I don't want to be a doctor anymore. I want to draw. I just needed the one credit to graduate at that point. So I went to my mom. I said, Mom, you know what? I don't want to be a doctor anymore, and I want to be an artist. And she goes to me, what? Can't you draw on the weekend between brain surgeries? That's what she would say to me. I'm like, no,
She wanted you to be a surgeon,
oh,
not
yeah,
just a
yeah.
doctor.
Of course. Well, the highest doctor. That's what you go for. Would I have made it? I don't know. At the time, my grades were okay at the time.
Yeah.
But regardless, I made a deal with my mom, and it's funny. You talk to a lot of Asian kids. A lot of them have the same deal with their mom.
Yes.
They said, let me go to college. Let me study for this, and if I can't find a job after, I'll go back. I'll go back into medicine. So I took an art fundamental course, trying to get into animation at the time. I didn't get in. Unfortunately, it wasn't good enough to get in the animation course, but I got into an illustration course that taught me how to do things like draw buildings, perspective, cars, and all that. And that led me to my first job in comic books after that. Right?
Wow, you got a job in comic books.
Yes. There was a studio in Toronto that was close by that I was a fan of, and they invited me in for an interview, and then the boss, the big boss, who was looking through my portfolio, didn't really care too much for the people I drew, but he came across these two pieces where I drew these really intricate backgrounds. His brother barges into the room, and he goes, hey, you know what? We have this issue that needs to get out right away. The background art is not available. What do we do?
Oh,
and he looks at me and he's like, are you free tonight? And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm free tonight. So that was the very first comic I worked on that particular night. That led to an internship. I did a 2-week internship with them, and then a job right after college.
So now you're actually getting paid for art.
Yes. In fact, even today, if people remember me from my comics days, it's because of my run on Transformers. I'm mostly known as a Transformers artist these days.
So now you're getting paid.
Yes.
And what did your parents say?
They still thought I was unemployed because it was more. Again,
it wasn't a real job.
No,
right?
it wasn't a real job because they didn't understand it. Again, they didn't understand. They knew, and it's weird hours too. It's not like I'm going there like 9 to 5. I'm literally going to the studio like 7, 8, 9 p.m. at night.
And then
I
all
would,
night.
Yeah, and I would stay there till like, whatever, 3, 4 in the morning.
Right.
Then trying to drive home, half asleep, drive home every night. That's what I would do. They knew I was earning enough to like pay for my phone and stuff like that, but they didn't really get it. Still, they still didn't get it.
Now that you're older and wiser, how do you understand why your parents couldn't understand what you were doing?
Well, it's more, it's a balance of things. I don't think they wanted to understand, but they just wanted to know I was okay, right? Because again, I totally get it. It comes from a place of love, right? They just want to make sure I'm going to be okay, right? That again, I can feed my family and myself. I always say to young artists too, and anyone who has like a kind of weird job, I even say to my kids, right? If you have a job that you'd like to do or career path you want to go and I don't understand it, that's okay. Show me you could live with that. That's all I ask, right? I might not understand it, but just show me examples that you could live. Like, because I think for my parents, they've never encountered someone who has made it a career.
That's true.
Right? They
So, you're a dad now. So if your kids were to say, Dad, I want to be an artist, and you've got 3 kids. Any of them have the same artistic skills? And
well, they all did. Like my youngest daughter, like I thought she would be the one because she started, using the iPad. She was doing Procreate, and she was doing these really great drawings. So I thought she'd be the one to follow. But then next year, I'll forget.
Something else.
She doesn't want it. It's something else. And I'm like, okay, that's fine.
But if your kids were to come up to you and tell you, Dad, I want to do this one thing that is very foreign to you, how do you think you would react, knowing how your parents reacted to you?
Well, exactly. I think that prepared me for that. That prepared me that. All I ask is show me how you can make money out of this thing. Just show me, and I'll be relieved. At the same time, it's more for my relief, right? Show me that there are people who they don't even have to be rich, right?
Yeah.
Just show me that they could put food on the table and take care of their family. Because that's one of the things when I went into YouTube, and I'm sure we'll talk about that later. When I decided to go full time into YouTube, that was a scary thing too, for me, because I didn't know people that were successful.
Just looking back, how do you think things might have turned out differently if you responded differently to your parents' concerns? Meaning, let's just say you gave in and you did pursue medicine.
You look back. No, I was very lazy.
You're very lazy.
Well, that's one.
You
That's one
wouldn't
thing.
have passed the classes anyway.
Exactly. It's one thing. Like, and that's the term laziness. Is lazy just because you just don't want to do the work, or you're just not interested in doing the work. I think I would have tried.
Right.
I would have tried my best. That's all I say. Would it have been enough? I don't know.
Going back to like when you were a kid, there was something. Of course, you were born and raised in the church. Yes. What was it that you saw in drawings that you saw that you thought, oh, this is inspiring? When it came to church art.
Oh yes, absolutely. Well, there were a couple of things in that realm. In Toronto, there's this big mural in Toronto, hand drawn. Have you seen it? Have you seen that one?
Is that the one at the chapel?
Yes, in the chapel.
Okay.
In the chapel, there's a mural done there by brother Noli Mercado did that. I actually watched him paint it when I was young.
As a kid.
So that was one of the first things that thought of, which actually also was a catalyst for other things in my career later on. But also, and then the Basuga magazines, like there would be a lot of God's Message magazines. That's English. In the God's Message magazines, they would have like these illustrations in the God's Message magazines, and they were really nice. Those illustrations, especially when it came to Bible stories and all of that. And then I forgot who gave it to me, but someone actually gave me a copy of a comic book about the messenger. That was pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. That was the first time I saw it in a comic form, seeing the stories, and the artwork in there was fantastic. It was by brother. Help me.
Nestor.
Yeah, Nestor. Yeah, I want to make sure. I was confusing Noli with Nestor. Right? I said Noli. Like, wait a minute, which was which?
Yes.
Yeah, Can Nestor Molgapo Senior. Because I would always see his name there, his signature on all the artwork. So that was definitely a huge artistic influence for me and in my career as well. Yeah.
And then fast forward to the centennial of the church in 2014.
Yes.
Was the idea that you came up with?
I wanted to do something. I wanted to do something at the time. I didn't know exactly what it was, but I did want to do something, and then that brought me back to that comic book, right, and the history of the church itself. So I had an idea that what if we did these little drawing videos. Actually,
I think it's funny
Yeah.
that you call them little,
little drawing videos. Yeah.
because you end up doing,
Yeah.
it was a huge mural.
Again, heavily inspired by what I read in the Pasugo comics. So I pitched the idea to the administration. What if I do a piece where I'm going to do one piece per every 10 years of the church? So it'd be 10 pieces. However, I think it would be really cool if at the end of it, all of them connected and nobody knew. But at the end, all of those pieces connected to make one giant mural, right? And then I'll film the whole thing, and it'll be a cool video series. If while I'm drawing, we'll have a voiceover
Right.
to describe what actually happened in those 10 years, and the church administration, through the grace of God, approved the assignment, and that started me putting this piece together. Took about a year to put it together. Myself and a lot of the brethren in Toronto, same brethren in Toronto, we got together. They helped me edit and put these pieces together. And
it was spectacular.
yeah.
I mean, the details on that mural,
Yes. Yeah.
you know, and I remember looking at it going, what if he makes a mistake, right? Because it's all in
Right.
in markers and pens,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And it was like it all just really connected, all the pieces and all the details. And you can't just look at it. You got to look at it really closely.
Right.
Because every small detail, every corner of that mural tells a story.
Yes, exactly. And that's what we wanted to do, right? Your eyes had to go around the right way so that you could be told the story chronologically and clearly.
It was, it was so moving because, like I said, there were no words, but you could feel the story unfolding as you're going left to right.
Right.
So you're a children's worship service teacher.
Yes.
Someone with a career that was really just blooming and blossoming. And yet, why did you always think, what can I do for the church?
Well, of course, being a member of the church, like the church, it's a big part of my life, and it's how I grew up. Right? It's what I knew. Like this is my life. My life is in the church to serve God, and I'm a firm believer that if God gives you a talent, that there's a reason why, and I fully believe that. Because God gave me this talent, it's more than just to make money or to put food on the table, and of course that is part of the reason why. But I also feel that if God, you made this talent, there was another purpose behind it, right? And especially believing what I do, what we do in our faith and in God, it's how can I use my talent to not only inspire those inside, but also those outside the church as well. Everything I've experienced is because of God's mercy to me. So I won't even say give back. You can never give back, what God has given you. So it's what, to be honest, is what helps keep me sane throughout all this. It keeps me at peace. Whenever I am able to fulfill. And it's one of those things where maybe some don't understand this, but when I am able to do a project for the church and it works, or it's successful in terms of the impact it has on others and on brethren, to be honest, it's way more fulfilling than any other professional project I've done. The feeling is just different. And I see it not just in my life, but in my family's life as well, when it comes to that. So that's the difference. That's why I do it, Yeah.
You do this little show called Time to Draw.
Yes.
Time to Draw Live,
Yes,
when we do
yes.
the live events.
Yes.
You said that it's more fulfilling than any commercial success you've had, which is a lot. I mean, that says a lot because you've had amazing commercial success. What is it about doing these shows for the INC kids in the church in these, function halls or however big or small the venue is, and you just see these little kids. I was watching them on Saturday.
Yes.
I have video of them, and their eyes are just, when they're watching. We show a little video clip of you and what you've done, and they see there's a brother in the church who's been part of these movies, and what is it? You said the feeling. Explain it a little bit more for us who are trying to understand. What do you mean it's more fulfilling than working on
working with Marvel Studios, working with Star Wars? Like, what is that feeling like?
Well, especially when it comes to that, and it's everything you said right there. Especially today in this influencer world that we have, I'm trying to show these kids that you don't have to go and do bad things. You know, you don't have to do controversial things, to either get noticed or be successful, to cheat, to do these. You don't have to do any of that stuff.
You don't have to compromise your values.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Especially for us being in the church, there's a lot of things we believe and uphold that a lot of people don't at the same time. So some people feel they have to sacrifice that part of yourself, and that's very important to me to tell them, no, you don't have to. You know, God will provide. He could still give you success. That's why doing shows like this is also very, very important to me, because especially at that young age, when they're that young, sometimes that's all they see. And even if you feel even if you feel this guy got ahead because he did this, do you really want to do that, right? To get ahead, is this really who you want to be? Type thing, because you don't have to. You don't have to. God has given us so much. There is a way.
You're very open on your social media that you are a man of God. You're a Christian. You're Iglesia. How do you think that has helped influence or helped your audience, your followers, know who you are, and how has that helped inspire them as well?
Well, I think one of the reasons I have found some of the success I've had was because I am authentic in that sense. I'm not trying to hide who I am. People can spot. They can spot from a mile away when someone's fake. Yeah. When they're trying to be someone they're not. Yeah. Yes, exactly. So first of all, there's no need to do it, right? I know, especially some might be scared because they feel the majority might not agree with some things that we do, but sometimes a lot of people actually agree a lot with what we do as well. So for me, it's more like, what, at the end of the day, even if there's someone who doesn't agree with me, I could always block them, or I could always silence them.
And at the end of the day, the only audience you're trying to please is God.
Exactly.
Right? Because you can't please everybody anyway.
You're not going to, and that's how I do these things, right?
So going back to the mural that you did for the church for the centennial anniversary, that kind of opened up other ideas for you.
Yes.
So tell me about, from that point on, all the other major projects that came your way that God just put in your way, and what happened since.
So I was turning 40 soon, and one thing I never got to do in my art career was do art for me. It's usually for a company, and the only way I felt that really was when I was doing YouTube, because it was just for me. So that's when I had a conversation with my family. I said, okay, look, what if, let me try this full time. I'm still teaching on the side to earn money for us, but let me try this YouTube thing full time. All right. And they agreed. Okay, let's give it a shot. And the one thing I wanted to do was like, okay, how am I going to stand out from, now there wasn't a lot of art YouTubers out there, but there were some. Like, how can I make myself a little bit different than anyone else at that time? And I thought back to that mural I did for the centennial. Like, okay, I did that. What if I did that for some movie franchises, and I was a fan of Star Wars. And I said, okay, what if I did something like that for Star Wars? I could do it on my channel, and we'll see what happens, type of thing. Again, not expecting like I'm gonna make a lot of money off this thing. I didn't even know how to make money off YouTube at the time. So for the next 6 months, that's what I did. I went live on my channel every day, trying to draw this big mural itself. And then someone online saw it. And they invited me to be on the Star Wars show in San Francisco, which is great because my friends are here.
Yes, we went with you.
Yeah, you went with me. You went with me to
Skywalker Ranch.
Yes, we went to Skywalker Ranch. They invited me to go on the Star Wars show and arrange it. And remember, it took us 3 hours to actually put that thing up because I brought in 2 portfolio cases. This thing's huge.
It was humongous.
It's 5.5 feet tall, 8.5 feet wide. This particular case, I had 2 big portfolio cases because there were 64 boards, and then we had to tape them all together. I remember
I didn't know the order because I'm not a Star Wars fan.
yeah, exactly. I asked you to help put
Yes,
this together,
yes.
and you didn't know what it was, which is totally understandable. Totally.
My husband was
There's
so
much-
embarrassed for me because he's like, "You did that in front of James?"
No, I understood.
But I remember that
Yes.
day because people that worked there at Skywalker Ranch, they were all coming in and just looking at this mural that
Yes.
we were putting up, and they just were so amazed.
Yes, especially because a lot of them worked on a lot of those shots
Yeah.
in the movie, so they were looking
Yeah.
for the shot that they worked on.
Right.
I remember some guys were taking pictures. I worked on that. This is the
Yes.
one that was me. They were like that.
And so from
Yes.
that project, so they invite you over.
Yeah.
Who else noticed?
I think it was like September or something like that, or October. I sent. I was on Twitter. I was on Twitter, and the head of Marvel Studios, he tweeted. Right, he tweeted something. Like it was like 2 seconds. Right, it was 2 seconds. I saw. So I was there when he tweeted it. I'm like, okay. Immediately, I tweeted back to him. I'm like, hey, I did this for Star Wars. Would love to do something for Marvel at the time. The next day, I get a call from Disney. They called me up. The head of their marketing division. His name's,
next day?
Yeah, the next day. The next day. His name's Assad, wonderful guy. He said, James, don't worry. Kevin saw it. He loves it. And Kevin, the head of Marvel Studios. And he goes, we don't know what you're going to do yet, but just know you're on a radar. We're going to give you something. Like, okay. I was cautiously optimistic, as we say, right? So I'm like, okay, if it happens, great. If not, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. So I kept making like YouTube videos here and there. And that was about until March. And then they called me up again. Like, okay, James, it's time. You got 5 weeks. What can you do? Right? I'm like, okay.
And this is for.
This is for the
Infinity
upcoming
Wars.
movie, Avengers Infinity War.
So did you sleep at all?
No, I didn't. I didn't. For the next 5 weeks.
Wow.
I just put that together, and they loved it. I sent them the artwork, and what they did was they made these art installations inside of movie theaters, right?
Right.
They put inside movie theaters, not all of them. We select ones. There was the one, the Regal LA Live here. In Los Angeles, and then they had one in South America. They had one in China as well, and one in
So
Toronto.
it wasn't just U.S. and Canada.
No,
it was in different
worldwide.
parts.
It was
Wow,
worldwide.
I didn't
it
know
was
that.
worldwide. They would have these Infinity War exhibits, and that was a part of it, right?
And I remember the cool thing in this whole experience was they flew your whole family
They did, yes, they did.
to the premieres.
Yes. Which was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun to do. I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful that they did that, and that's when I actually asked them. Can you tell my mom I have a job?
It was during this.
That was when. Yeah,
So your mom and dad
Infinity War.
came too,
My
right?
mom
That
and
was-
dad came.
Yeah.
I really wanted them to come.
Yes.
To see
'Cause
that
you're like,
that I have a job.
Mom, I've made it.
I made it, Mom. And then the guy I was working with, he
And
went
you
up
have
to
this on
yes.
video?
I do. He was going like, your son very, very talented. He's like, oh. I'll be like, okay.
Your mom's like, he's all right.
Yes. Like, okay.
So
that worked out.
now, what are you thinking, James? I
Yeah.
mean, you've done work for Marvel Studios, not just any movie.
Yeah.
This is a blockbuster film,
Yes.
right? At that point in your life, you've got a wonderful family, you've got 3 kids, your parents are with you.
Yes.
Seeing your success, seeing your rise, and it's amazing that it all started from the Centennial mural that you did. That idea just spawned into other things.
Right. Yeah.
So what are you thinking at that point when you're going to this? You were being interviewed everywhere.
Yeah.
What were the thoughts in your mind at that time?
Well, this is going to sound weird in that sense. Especially growing up, especially as a CW's teacher, I know the Bible pretty well in that sense. They always say it's in the Bible that says, God puts you in situations where you can handle it, right? If you're in a bad situation, it means God knows you can handle it. And at that point in my life, I'm like, man, God thinks I'm a wimp. Because things are going so well in my life.
Were you nervous?
I was getting nervous that something might happen. That's the totally honest truth.
Wow.
Yeah, I was really nervous.
Little did he know that God had a plan for him that would test his ability to handle what would become the most challenging situation in his and his family's life. Want to hear or watch the rest? Scan the QR code on the screen and listen to the entire episode on Spotify.